the original season 5, episode 7, God's Gonna Trouble the Water. Definitely an interesting episode. We have, of course, the sort of funeral procession of Hayley and just, the typical originals madness. There's supposed to be some emotional thing happening, and then there's a bunch of crazy stuff going on behind the scenes, and then there, of course, by the end becomes the full-on emotional moment with, everyone that actually matters, because they didn't have, like, anybody there. They had it was basically here's my sister-in-law and here's my daughter. Those are like the only two people that showed up for Hayley. And we have, of course, Marcel and Vincent trying to give Elijah his memories back so that they can make the deal, which Vincent, I felt, brought up a great point. It was like, if we can trust him, to leave, why did we take his memories in the first place? And it's like, it's just going to be worse this time around. So definitely an interesting decision that they made, where it's like, all right, let's take him up on this deal. Because, of course, I mean, it makes sense. Because it's just like, well, if we let Antoinette die, which, they finally got to that point where it was like, eventually Klaus has got to, kill her or something. So it, of course, gets to that point in this episode. And it's like, we can't let her die, because then everything that I can't remember it. I want to say her name's Margaret, but I don't think that's right. But the woman that died, everything that they're saying, where it's like, we have an original on our side and stuff, that's gonna be true. Like, we will radicalize him ourselves if we let her die. That's the only thing he's got. That's the only thing he cares about. We kind of have to, give him his memories, and then have him just, take off and let her live. Which, of course, that totally blows up in their face, because otherwise it would have been, the end of the season. And I don't even know. I'm sure they'll explain it in the next episode, but it was like they were trying to give him, force him to go back to having his memories, and he was fighting it, and he fights it so hard he basically just passes out, and it's like, oh, well, that sucks. That's bad. And then apparently he still escaped. I don't know what they did. I was so confused. I was like, I feel like there's some stuff missing, so they have to explain what the heck was happening where he just managed to escape. Like, it didn't seem to make any sense whatsoever, but somehow he escaped, and he ends up trapping. I don't know if everyone's going to end up trapped by the time they get to the next episode, like if everyone's going to go in, and then that's, how they all end up inside his mind maze. But Elijah traps Klaus, and it's like, we can't go anywhere. We find out in this episode, Vincent, with another great scene. It made me laugh personally, because I just thought it was funny, where he was in the bar by himself, and I wish I could remember the woman's name, but she comes up and is like, I have information. He's like, information means death and all this. He's like, I don't want it. Basically, he's just like, I don't hear that shit today. Like, that's kind of what he was about to say. It's just like, I just don't want that right now. So we find out that everything that's going on has been prophesized, which, it totally makes sense. Like, everything at some point has been prophesized. It's just how it goes. Once magic is involved, it doesn't matter if it solely focuses on vampires or if it's vampires and werewolves. This has the trifecta. It's got vampires, werewolves, and witches. There's going to be a prophecy. I feel like we've already had one before, and this is just like, super long time ago, it was prophesized that this was going to happen. And so they got the snakes, they got the blood, they got the hell, and then it's like there's going to be raging winds and fire and stuff like that. So of course they have the flames on the water by the end of the episode, and then it's the crazy thunderstorm, which is going to be like the tornado and all that. So it's basically going towards the death of all firstborn people within the time. It's magic, so who the F knows how far it's supposed to spread. But they made it seem very specific, like it's just going to be like, kind of right here in this state, firstborns are just going to get killed off. I assume it's going to be everyone. You don't have to be like a magical being or something, but obviously, as far as human characters go, they tend not to matter too much. So it's like all firstborns are going to be killed off, which, of course, for Klaus includes his daughter. So it's like, your daughter will be dead. Freya's going to die. Tons of other people, are going to get killed off as well. I was like, all right, well, that's a heck of a prophecy to have, where everyone, it's like a weird, it's magic. So it's a weird magical culling of firstborn children. And, it's indiscriminate. It's just, if you're in that area, that is what this terrible magic is going to do, is going to lead to the first, all firstborns being just wiped out and dead. So definitely an interesting revelation in the episode. I thought it was cool for sure, because it's like, all right, well, basically, at least at this point, because I'm sure they'll find some way to, make an actual cure. Like, I feel like that's almost inevitable. Like, Klaus is going to have that, that weird pseudo happy ending with his daughter, and maybe the entire family will be able to, kind of reunite. But I feel like it's going to end up going towards, instead of it being spread up between everybody, it'll go to one person, and somehow with it going back just to one person, they'll be able to control it in that sense. So I am very curious how that's going to play out. But for now, it's just getting worse and worse. And so Klaus was actually kind of doing the right thing. Like once he knew it would finally lead to his daughter dying, it was like, oh, okay, well, the blood and snake stuff, whatever. But I want my daughter to live. I'm sure he cares about Freya. I mean, how he is. So he was actually going to take off. And then it's just like, crap, it's game over. So now he's trapped right next to his brother. It doesn't matter. Like it only takes two of them to be together. So even if Hope actually did take off, it wouldn't make a difference. But now they're trapped, and then of course we have them based on the promo going into Elijah's mind, and they're bringing back Cole and Rebecca. So that should be pretty fun. I'm excited for that. Marcel is going to be in there as well. So looking forward to how that's going to play out and where he is in the middle. Like obviously he trapped them because he didn't care. So obviously, it didn't break through where he has those feelings, but now it's like this weird in between ground where he traps Klaus, but in the promo it's like, well, they're still working through going into his mind. So there's definitely something there. And it could just be the fact that they're just trying to push him to do it and he's fighting against it because it's, so painful, of course. But I'm actually excited to see how that's going to end up playing out. I'm definitely looking forward to it because it's like, well, once this happens, there, and I assume that they all have to be physically close to do the, the mental link. So it's like, all right, that's just going to amplify every horrible thing that's happening. So while they're, fixing one problem and turning Elijah back into the good guy, it's going to be too late. By the time it's all said and done, they'll probably, like my theory, at least for the next episode, is they're going to go through, solve the whole problem. He'll accept his memories and he'll be like, all right, I'm going to leave. And as soon as they all snap out of it at the end of the episode, it'll be like, oh crap, it's way too late. Like it's at the end. And somehow they have to, find a way to stop all the firstborns being killed off. Like that's just my theory. Could be totally wrong, but either way, I'm looking forward to the next episode. Definitely enjoyed this one. We'll see what happens. We have Antoinette in like this weird middle ground because they don't necessarily say whether or not they actually did it because it was like they were trying to the whole time. So that was, one of those other things where it was like, okay, well, is she healed yet? Is she not healed? Did they honor the deal even though it didn't technically go through? Like what exactly was the plan there? And I would assume, considering what Elijah did, they did not let her go, because if they did, then it would have just been like, well, I don't really care that much. Antoinette clearly doesn't care. Like she didn't even want to be a part of it. And if they let them go, they probably would have just left. Like if they healed her and was like, get out of here, that probably would have happened. Even if he didn't have his memories back, I feel like they probably would have been like, you know what? That's a pretty solid deal. Because if Klaus comes along again and he gets to her before I'm able to get to him, it's game over. Like the person that I love will be killed. So I feel like they just didn't, it was like, hey, we could have, but, we don't know what he's going to do 100%. But I probably would have hedged my bets. Like, I feel like he'll take off. Like, if he knows that we can just come at him again, I mean, all it takes, obviously, Klaus and Marcel, and that's pretty much it. Vincent could go in, it's like, I'm just going to stop these vampires here, just everybody relax, and just let Klaus and Marcel walk right up to Antoinette, and that would be, like, they could repeat that a million times over, honestly, as the grand threat against Elijah. I feel like they really could have done that and just been like, just leave, or that's what's going to happen over and over and over again, and eventually we just won't heal her, and that's it. But that's just me. Either way, it's the original, so everything has to, naturally just fall apart and, not work in any way, shape, or form. It always works a little bit too late, so we'll see how it plays out. But of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And I would love to know your theories for the next episode. Do you think that they will actually get Elijah to accept his memories? Do you think that he'll still break out of it and he won't have his memories and maybe he'll stay around just to spite them, even though, like, I'm just curious where it's going, because it's like all they have to do is just, if they heal Antoinette, that could be, like I said, that's like their permanent threat. Like, we healed her once, we don't have enough blood to do it a million times, and Klaus didn't want to do it to begin with, so it's like I don't even know exactly what that means. But we'd love to know your theories for exactly how things are going to play out, and of course definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.